We continue Sila Wanta Sutta. First, we have to recite question and answer between Venerable Makutika and Venerable Sariputra. Can you follow me? Sila Wata Uso Sariputra. Bekuna Katame Dhamma Yoni Somanasika Daba Sila Wata Uso Kutika Bekuna Pinju Padane Kanda Anicca Dukkha Roga Kanda Salada Agada Abadada Parada Palogada Sunyada Anaddada Yoni Samanasikadaba. Recite together. Sila Wada Usasari Buddha Bhikkhuna Kadame Dhamma Yoni Samanasikadaba. Sila Wada Usagutika Bhikkhuna Pinju Paranekanda Nijada Dukkada Rogada Gandada Gada Avarada Parada Palogada Sunyada Anaddada Yoni Samanasikadaba. Translation, read together. Friend Sariputta, what are the things a virtuous bhikkhu should carefully attend to? Aggregates subject to clinging as impermanent, as suffering, as non-self. Venerable Sariputta, continue. Can you follow me? Katame pinja teyadidam rupu parane khanda vedanu parane khanda sinyu parane khanda singaru parane khanda vinyanu parane khanda. Recite together. Katame pinja seyadidam rupu parane khanda vedanu parane khanda sinyu parane khanda singaru parane khanda vinyanu parane khanda. Translation. What are the five aggregates of clinging? Physical aggregates subject to clinging. Perception aggregates subject to clinging. Aggregates subject to clinging. Perception aggregates subject to clinging. So Venerable Sariputra answer. Frank Kutika, a virtuous and instructed meditator, should carefully attend to the five aggregates subject to clinging as impermanence, as suffering, as non-self. So to see the three characteristics, nature, dukkha, anatta, is not easy. Impermanent is concealed by continuity. The notion of continuity exists because people do not give attention to rise and fall. In every phenomena there is rise and fall, but people do not give attention. So it is important coming to the intensive retreat, need to understand the nature of rise and fall, need to pay attention to the nature of rise and fall, sitting, standing, walking, seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, and knowing every phenomena, every kaya, every bodily activities, every feeling, every consciousness, every Dhamma object, there is rise and fall. So meditators should give attention to rise and fall in every phenomena occurring at the six senses. And the characteristics of suffering does not become apparent because the continuous operation is not given attention. People do not pay attention to the continuous operation. We are oppressed by rising and disappearing. We are always oppressed by rise and fall. And every posture changing, people do not pay attention. They cannot be patient, so they move unmindfully. So it is concealed by postures. To reveal the nature of suffering, everything have to be mindful so that you can see that body is 100% suffering. Because people keep changing postures unmindfully, they do not realize that their body is always suffering. And the third characteristic of non-self, anatta, does not become apparent because it is concealed by compactness. When resolution into the various elements is not given attention, so the notions of compactness, gana in Pali, in reality there is no compactness, but we always see things as a compact. This is living entity, there is man, there is woman, there is solid one. People think that even the mind is just one solid thing. They think it is the same as the mind a few moments ago. It is the same as the mind a week ago, a month ago. And even though people have different minds, seeing mind, hearing mind, smelling mind, tasting mind, and so on, they see them as the solid things. They lump them all together as one mind. So these aggregates are also concealed by the notion of compactness. In reality, it is not so simplistic. When you see something, be mindful. Seeing, seeing, seeing. What is seeing? Who see? There is the things to be seen, the object. The eye sensitivity is clear. The eye sensitivity to see the object and seeing consciousness. So we have the eye sensitivity and the seeing consciousness. Though the act of seeing is composed of many different moments of small mental states, normally people do not think of it that way. They take it as just one thing. I see. The objects come one after another. The first object, seeing the Buddha statue, the scene disappear, and then flowers, another scene, another scene is other object, scene not the same. The first scene and second scene not the same. The scene is composed of seeing consciousness, object, and eye sensitivity. They appear and disappear very fast. Just flashing and then disappear. Hearing more clear, sound wave, who hear the sound? If you know mindful, I hear. Sound wave is another one. Ear sensitivity is another one. Hearing consciousness is another one. Hearing contact is another one. And feeling is another one. Because people take each process to be one solid thing, they take a complex things or process as a mass, and as long as they cannot break this mass into its components, they will always think in terms of I, a person, or an individual. So because of this, meditators very mindful. Every activities, every phenomena, they try to capture the true nature very closely. There are different moments, different characteristics, and there are different functions performed by different mental states. Seeing consciousness has the function of seeing. Hearing consciousness has the functions of hearing. Which is followed by other types of consciousness. Seeing and hearing are not the same. But people are not able to see these mental state and process. If people cannot analyze the seeing into different mental states, performing their respective function, they see only the visible object. I see, I hear, or a person see is what they normally understand. And there is a difference in the way that different types of consciousness take different objects. different moments, different characteristics, different function, and different object. They are different, not the same. Seeing consciousness takes sight or a visible object, a visible thing as object. Hearing consciousness takes sound as an object, and so on. But people just assume that it is one mind that takes these objects, and that the eye that sees is also the eye that hears. So if they do not see the difference in the way mental state takes object, they cannot shake off the notion that it is one compact eye that see, that hear, that smell, and so on. So yogi understand about anatta being concealed by compactness. In order to understand it, yogi understand first the meanings of anatta. The first meaning is having no exercise of authority over it. Another meaning is having no core. Anatta is that which has no inner core, no essence, and no self. As long as you take things to be compact, to be a mass, or to be just one thing with many functions, you can avoid the notion that there is a core, there is an inherent essence, or a self. To understand the inner nature of things, meditators need to break things down into elements, and they are different components. As long as you cannot resolve things into their constituent parts, you will always think of them as one compact things. But once you are able to analyze and resolve them into their various components, the notion of compactness and the notion of self or atta are gone. So in order to understand, in order to see another nature, it is very important that yogi break things down, yogi break upadana khanda, aggregates. Yogi need to cut aggregates into pieces. Yogi need to hit the aggregates to pieces. And yogi need to analyze, yogi need to observe closely. Buddha expounded the Abhidhamma Pitaka. It is all about anatta, although it does not say that this is anatta, that is anatta. The teaching tells us that everything is anatta because everything is minutely analyzed. Mind is analyzed into consciousness and mental factors, citta and cittasika. Then consciousness is analyzed into 120 types, and mental factor, cittasika are analyzed into 52 types, and so on. So everything is so minutely analyzed in order to show that there is no compactness, there is no core. The whole of Abhidhamma Pitaka is always pointing to the anatta nature of things, although we also learn many other things from it. Everything can be analyzed into components because nothing is compact. Since there is no compactness in anything, there can be no core, there can be no atta. You come to the center to practice meditation to discover the reality. You make notes of the aggregates that appear at the present moment. And you see that at every moment the objects are different, the aggregates are different. And when you take mental state as object, you know that there are many mental states, not just one compact mind. So you are able to resolve mind into many components. You may not be able to name those components, but you see them and you understand them. It is more important to be able to resolve objects into components, states, than it is to give names to them. During your practice of meditation, yogi will see that your mind is not just one mind. At different moments, there is a different mind, there is a different consciousness. One consciousness goes to one object, another consciousness makes note of it, then these two disappear, another consciousness that is thinking of quite another things arises, and so on. You pay close attention to what is happening in your mind. You see that what you thought to be one compact thing is actually composed of many small different mental states. Once you see mind as comprising these small mental states, you come to understand that there is no core in the mind. When you see there is no core in the mind, you see the anatta nature of that mind. It is to see these three characteristics that you practice vipassana meditation. You will see them only when you practice, not just by saying nature, dukkha, anatta, impermanent suffering and non-self again and again. They can be understood only through your practice, not by repeating the words or just thinking about them. So if you want to see the three characteristics, you must practice vipassana now nearly 1 month. Your practice is very having momentum. When you practice Vipassana, in the beginning you try to develop your concentration in order to make your mind steady, still, and free from mental hindrances. When your mind is free from mental hindrances, your concentration comes. Through concentration, you begin to see the aggregates clearly. You begin to see them separately. You begin to see two things occurring at the same time as a pair, the rising movement and the mindfulness of the movement and the falling movements and mindfulness of the falling movement. These things are seen separately, not mixed with one another. After seeing that, you also will see conditionality. You will see that because there is the rising movement, there is mindfulness of the movement. Because intention to get up, there is the getting up. Because intention to walk, walking. And then you will see objects arise and disappear. When you see the objects arise and disappear, you see the impermanent nature of the aggregates. When you see the impermanent nature of the aggregates, you also see their dukkha nature. Because when you see them arising and disappearing, you come to the understanding that they are bombarded and oppressed by arising and disappearing. Continuous oppression by arising and disappearing is what is meant by the word dukkha. And when you see the impermanent nature and suffering nature, you can also see their anatta nature. You see things arising and disappearing, which means there is no core in them. If there were core in them, they would last forever. They would be together and intact. But they are separate and continuously arising and disappearing. So there is no unifying core in the aggregates. There is no unifying core in our body. Moreover, we cannot tell the aggregates to stop. We cannot tell them not to arise or not to disappear. There's no way we can exercise any authority over the aggregates, over our body. So here too, we are seeing the another nature of things. through the practice of vipassana meditation and through paying attention to the objects at the present moment, you can see nature, dukkha, and anatta for yourself. Once you see these three characteristics for yourself, you don't have to base your faith on what other people say. Through your own experience, you can verify that the teaching of the Buddha are correct. When you see this for yourself and come to this firm understanding, nobody can shake you away from this understanding. It becomes your very own property. It becomes your very own knowledge. It is to possess this knowledge that you practice vipassana meditation. Suppose you are practicing meditation and you see your body disintegrate into particles, or you see your body disappear, or something similar. Does that mean that you have seen anatta? The late Venerable Mazi Sayadaw said that even though you see your body disappear, you have not seen anatta yet. Because even though you see your body disintegrating, but you not see your mind disappearing. When both the mind and the body disappear or disintegrating, you can see the anatta nature. Now that the three characteristics have been explained, Venerable Sariputra answered the question put to him by Venerable Vakutika. He said that a virtuous and instructed meditator should attend carefully to the five aggregates, subject to clinging as impermanence, as suffering, as disease. So the list continue with 8 other aspects. So altogether, there are 11 aspects of the five aggregates. Among them, we have examined impermanence, suffering, and having no essence or no core. The next aspect to consider is disintegration, palokato. Meditators should attend to the five aggregates as disintegrating or dissolving. It is greatly disintegrating. There are two kinds of disintegration: moment to moment disintegrating and disintegration at the end of our life. Two kinds of disintegration. Can you follow me to disintegration? Two kinds of disintegration: moment to moment disintegrating, disintegration at the end of our life. Two kinds of disintegration: moment to moment disintegrating, disintegration at the end of our life. So the first one, moment to moment disintegrating. So we should see the five aggregates of clinging as disintegrating moment by moment. Now moment by moment you are observing, hearing. The moment you capture the sound, it appears and disappears. It is greatly disintegrating. The moment it arises, the moment it disappears. That is moment to moment disintegrating. So we should see the five aggregates of clinging as disintegrating moment by moment. Seeing this moment by moment disappearance, yogi can understand the last disintegration of our life. Disintegrating at the end of our life and disintegrating during life at every moment are actually the same. But at the moment of at the last integration of our life, we are in the deathbed, and all immune are deteriorating, declining, finally no replacement, and that is the last disintegration. It is called death. If you understand disintegrating at the end of the life, disintegrating moment by moment, and you will understand also disintegration at the end of our life, because they are the same. So meditators should see the five aggregates of clinging as disintegrating. When you see the impermanent nature of the aggregates, you see both the arising and the disintegrating. Since you see the disintegrating, you are able to see the impermanent nature or the characteristics of impermanence as non-existence after having been. The next aspect is sunyata, emptiness. Meditators should see the five aggregates of clinging as empty, sunya. Here, emptiness does not mean nothingness. In Theravada Buddhism, sunya means empty of self, empty of abiding self, empty of atta, empty of essence. So it means seeing as anatta, seeing as non-self. When you observe the five aggregates, you see only the five aggregates and nothing more that you can call a self or soul. At every moment of your noting, you understand that there is the object that is noted and the mind that notes. These two go as pairs at every moment, and there is nothing else but the object that is noted and the mind that notes have vanished. So you do not see anything that you can call a self or soul. And in seeing this way, you are seeing rightly. Venerable Sariputta described the five aggregates subject to clinging as impermanence, suffering, a disease, a tumor, a death, misery, affliction, alien, disintegrating, empty, and non-self. This list of 11 aspects can be accepted as an authentic teaching of the Buddha, as it is found in various other sutta taught by the Buddha himself. These 11 aspects can be condensed to only three. How can you condense? How can it can be condensed to three? Impermanence and disintegration actually mean the same nature. Suffering, disease, a tumor, a death, misery, and affliction are all aspects of dukkha. Alien, empty, and non-self are attributes of anatta. So here again, you meet the three characteristics, anicca, dukkha, anatta. Why the above understanding is important? It is enough just to see the five aggregates of clinging as impermanent, suffering, and non-self. If you want to know more, you can go to the Visuddhimagga, the path of purification. In this Visuddhimagga, it describes vipassana knowledge, 40 ways of observing the aggregates of clinging of mind and matter. So now you know 11 aspects. If you want to know more, you go to Visuddhimagga, 40 ways you can find out. What can we expect from seeing the five aggregates of clinging as impermanence, suffering, and non-self? According to Venerable Sariputta, when a virtuous and instructed bhikkhu carefully attend to these five aggregates subject to clinging, it is possible that you may realize the fruits of stream entry. This means that when you see the five aggregates as impermanence, suffering, and non-self, it is possible that you will become a Sotapanna. Ime pinju paranakande nechato yoniso manasi karonto Sotapatipala sichikreya. In order to become a Sotapanna, what do we have to do? We have to observe the five aggregates of clinging as impermanent, as suffering, as non-self. So because of this wish, you practice very diligently, respectfully. It is very important that when you are practicing vipassana meditation, you see these three characteristics of the five aggregates of clinging that comprise mind and matter and all conditioned phenomena. When the three characteristics are seen, you will begin to experience dispassion towards the five aggregates. See, impermanence, suffering, and non-self means that You see the arising and disappearing of the five aggregates. When you see the arising and disappearing, especially the disappearing, you will come to realize that the five aggregates disappearing every moment are fearsome or dangerous, because every moment they are disappearing. Since they are disintegrating, since they are disappearing every moment, what happened? If they should stop rising and disappearing, no replacement, we die. Because disintegrating and no replacement, disappearing moment by moment and no replacement, and then we die. Death can come to us at any moment. It is a frightening things about the five aggregates. So you see that the aggregates are dangerous. You find fault with them. But in finding fault in them, you become dispassionate towards things. You are no longer attached to them. You no longer want them. You no longer want to possess them. So you turn away from them. This dispassionate attitude towards the five aggregates is very important, and it is called strong vipassana. Before that happens, vipassana is called young vipassana or tender vipassana. At this stage of seeing the aggregates rising and falling, seeing that they are fearsome, the meditator has not yet developed strong vipassana. Only when the stage of dispassion or disenchantment towards the five aggregates is reached, is it called strong vipassana. Strong vipassana will lead you to the attainment of enlightenment. Strong vipassana will lead you to the attainments of stream entry, Sotapanna. This is because when you become disenchanted with the five aggregates, you want to get rid of them, you want to throw them away, so you give more time and perseverance to your practice. And in time, you will see the five aggregates are clinging as empty. But it is only when you see the five aggregates as impermanent, suffering, and non-self that the important stage of dispassion towards the aggregates can be reached. The phase of becoming dispassionate through seeing the three characteristics is clearly explained in a story about a man who tries to catch a fish. You can find in Visuddhimagga. In Visuddhimagga is mentioned that a man wants to catch a fish, so he casts a net into the water. After some time, he thinks there is a big fish in the net. So he very happy. So he plunks his hand into the water and takes hold of his catch. But when he lifts it up, he sees three identifying marks on the object. What's that? He's surprised. He found that he is holding not a fish, but a very poisonous snake. At such moment, how would you feel? First, you would feel fear because it is not a fish, but a very poisonous snake that can kill you with one bite. So the man is very afraid and see dangers in it. When he sees the danger, he becomes dispassionate and no longer wants what he had caught. He wants to turn away from it, to get free from it, to throw it away and be delivered from it. But first, he wants to do something to prevent it from biting him. So he takes the snakes, swing it around his hand, swing and swing and swing and swing 2 or 3 times, and throw it away with all his force. In the same way, you become dispassionate towards the fire aggregates because you see they are disappearing constantly. You need to watch and observe the three characteristics again and again. See, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, knowing, walking, sitting, everything. You see the three characteristics. In order not to fall back under the influence of the fire aggregates. So to avoid being beaten by failure to see the three characteristics, you dwell on them more frequently. Then a time will come when your mind rushes into the cessations of all conditioned phenomena. That rushing into what is unconditioned phenomena is what is meant by attaining enlightenment or taking nirvana as object. So this story from Visuddhimagga is very appropriate for the yogi. Until you see danger, you will not want to get away from fire aggregates. Only when you see danger, when you see something false, you want to escape from this aggregates. That is why if you want to quit smoking, you have to see the real danger in smoking. If you want to quit drinking, you have to see the real danger in drinking. Until the danger is seen, you will not want to give it up. That is a natural and logical sequence, not just somebody's theory. It is natural sequence. First, you need to see the object. Then you need to see that the object is nothing to be attached to, because now you have seen that it is a false, it is impermanent, suffering and non-self. Only when you see its transitory nature, you want to get away from the aggregates. That is why it is so important that you must first see the three characteristics in order to reach the stage of dispersion towards the five aggregates. So now you are doing to be liberated according to the true teaching. Can you follow me what you are doing? First, you need to see the object. First, you need to see the object. Then, you need to see that object is nothing to be attached to. Object is nothing to be attached to because you have seen that is impermanence, suffering and non-self. Only when you see the transitory nature, you want to get away from five aggregates. In order to reach the stage of dispassion towards the five aggregates, yogi need to see three characteristics. So it is now you are doing, first you need to see the five aggregates, and you need to see that the five aggregates are nothing to be attached to, because you have seen that it is impermanent, suffering and non-self. Now you see the transitory nature, and you want to get away from five aggregates. So it is very important that you must first see the three characteristics in order to reach the stage of dispersion towards the five aggregates. And if you get away from five aggregates, you become liberated. So Venerable Sariputta said, if a virtuous and instructed meditator see the five aggregates of clinging as impermanent and so on, there is the possibility that he or she may reach the stage of string entry and become a Sotapanna. And this is really encouraging. What you are practicing is right. You are observing every phenomena occurring at the six senses, or you are observing Kaya you are observing the five aggregates of clinging, or you are practicing Kaya Nupassana, Chaitanya Vedana and Dhamma all are the same. All are the same. So we will continue next time. We have to stop our discourse for today. By practicing Vipassana meditation, by observing every phenomena occurring at the six senses, by seeing the three characteristics correctly and clearly, may all yogis be liberated from all suffering. May all meditators realize the real peace in the very near future.